I want to remind you about your dark fates, that I cannot introduce details about your dark fates. I cannot play your dark fates by bringing them in. I can only use them, and I will, whatever you say about them. So if you tell me about, well, somebody is following us, I will have that following character do things after that. But I cannot, uh, introduce. I cannot bring in a character to follow you myself. You may do that kind of thing about your dark fate anytime you want. And the author was very clear in the book that don't give away everything and don't make up everything about it. Go ahead and bring in, to start very small with the dark fates. Do it a lot, but just little hints and little problems or little behaviors. And you can increase them as you go, or give more and more information as you go. The game is divided informally into chapters, which are basically scenes or collections of short scenes. And these chapters are defined only by a stage when everybody gets to bring it to enrich the dark fate for their characters through something that the character does. So every chapter has a closing point or an intermediary point where we really just look at the dark fates. But you can bring them in details, little small hints and details or events as you please. So you are kind of like a little game master for your dark fate. All right. So although once you do that, then they are mine too. Okay. So that is our plan. And I will also begin by saying you have gathered and only traveled a short while before coming to a town that is at the base, at the beginning of the main path that will proceed up the many levels of Fujiyama, the mountain. So you are still at the base of the mountain, and there is a town. Just past the town, there is a bridge over a waterway. And then after that, you are really on the path going up the mountain. So this town, interestingly, does not seem to have people in it. And it looks as though it has not been used for some time. The fields have not been tended to for a year at least. And it looks like, I'm sorry to say to people playing compact stories, it looks like a ghost town. So that's a joke, Nathan, because we were just playing scenes in a ghost town. So
Okay.
we are in another one, only this one is medieval Japan. So the things, first of all, is to get a quick look at each of your Ronin. I'm interested in their general appearance and the name that they would use to introduce themselves. And all of you are certainly going to follow each other's rules for their name. Now, what does Tagashi look like? Is he clean? Is he dirty? Is he dressed like a samurai as best he can, or did he give up on that crap? What are we looking at?
He looks like a rich kid trying to be down with the people.
Okay.
Do you understand what I mean?
I'm yes, a bit you are wearing regular clothes, but you are too clean and your hair is just right.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. And I have a bit too sophisticated language to be
right.
Of the people.
I see.
But I pretend to be.
Okay.
Doing a bad job of pretending.
Okay. So when you say kid, you are
tall.
saying he is a little bit young.
Yeah, but he's a little bit young, and he's tall.
Okay.
That is also is.
Got it. Perfect. So anyone else?
I can take mine.
Yeah.
He's called Uno Dono, and is a well dressed mature man with short hair. He has pretty traditional wear for a samurai, and it looks good.
I see. Okay, so even though you are a Ronin, you have kept the usual clothing and the usual appearance of a samurai as best you can.
Yes.
Okay.
And he has his swords and a bow.
Aha. Okay.
But he doesn't have more than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ola, your character is only carrying the two swords or something else?
I have a bow also. The kind of bow that goes very far.
Right. Right.
Female. She's Ito Tomoko, but she prefers very much to be called Ito-sama.
Ito-sama, right?
Somewhere around 20.
Okay.
Simple and practical clothing. Hair bound back so it doesn't get into the way, but nothing special or advanced. She has a bow, she has her knife, and she has a naginata.
Yes. Okay. No surprise to anybody, a female Ronin would certainly have been trained in the naginata. So, Nathan.
In terms of appearance, it's a samurai-style haircut with a kimono.
Aha.
He has his hair tied on the back of his head, like very traditional samurai kind of haircut.
Right.
For the clothing, it's clean, sturdy cloth, but nothing expensive, nothing fancy. Just a bit outdated.
Right.
Just enough to mark the character as a former samurai.
Right.
But it's like some part are patched, so it's like an old glory.
Yes, I see.
That's for the cloth. For the things that he's carrying, in addition to the two swords, he also has two yorodoshi, which are two big knives that are made to pierce armors.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
It's like a tento, but a bit thicker.
Yes.
To pierce an armor. Yeah.
Okay.
So like 25 centimeters long.
Is he older or younger or what?
About 30, 35.
Okay. I think you have told us.
Yeah, he also has like a bamboo flute.
Ah, okay.
To make music.
Yeah. That's kind of cool because these flutes are kind of long, right?
Yeah. It's like that's similar to a present day flute that you sing like that, but in bamboo.
Yeah.
And I think that's it.
Okay. I think this sounds great, and I want you to think about the kind of if somebody drew Mount Fuji, you would not believe it's a real mountain because it is just like those perfect triangles. It's just that perfect symmetrical triangle. And so it's dominating the landscape, of course, at this time. And the important part about coming to this town is first to realize that there is nobody here, and second to recognize that whatever season that you were traveling in, it is now very cold. The wind is very cold, and you are seeing signs of snow and frost even though it's not the right season for it. And the mountain, Fujiyama, looks like it's winter. So the area is unnaturally like, like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. The winter has dominated this land. So that's your first indication that you have moved into something of a new space, and that the dangers and the significance of your mission is made more obvious by this change. So at this time, I am, unless you say otherwise, I am assuming that your characters are not having pleasant conversations and not exchanging life stories and not suddenly becoming buddies. But you have interacted just enough for the basic levels of trust on your sheets to occur. Let's make sure before we do anything else that the numbers are correct. So think of trust as something that you give. Hello, here is my time traveling head to talk a little bit about trust and its notation in the Mountain Witch. And what we're skipping is the little sort of teaching session that we did at this time in the session, which is kind of too bad because it was composed of questions and teaching techniques, if I may say so myself, but it's not really scintillating viewing. We could see it as a segment if anyone's interested. But here I'll just put in the content to you. So here's my sheet, or a sheet, and you will see here that it has a list of the other characters' names. Now, these are all made up. They're not the characters in our game. So whoever I'm playing, Suzuki or something like that, I have the other characters' names on here who happen to be Hidaka and Kinjo. All right, so bracketing each name are circles. And the first circle is the trust that I give to that character. The second circle after the name is the trust that they give me. So it will correspond to their first circle. And then after that is a little line where it says points. And the points are equal at the beginning of a chapter to the trust they give me. So the only reason that my sheet has the trust I give is to record the trust I give to them, and I will never use that number. They receive that number, they put it in the circle after my name, Suzuki, and then they have that many points to spend during that chapter. So that's notation that you can check out. For example, here, I have given Hidaka 3 points. I trust Hidaka a lot. And so Hidaka, on their sheet, they have listed the amount they've given to me, which is 2. And then at their second circle, they have the 3 that I've given them. And then therefore they have 3 points. Hidaka has 3 points to trust that they can use as expenditure. So the numbers in the circles during a chapter don't change. The points are used or not used. So then we go to Kinjo and we discover that I don't trust Kinjo at all. So I've got a 0 there. That means that Kinjo on their sheet and their second circle has a 0, and the player is looking at that 0 and going, oh wow, I can't spend any trust relative to Suzuki. When it comes, however, to Kinjo's trust in me, we discover that Kinjo trusts Suzuki a lot with 3. And so I, on my sheet, have listed 3 here. And then that means I have 3 points of trust to be spending. So it's fairly useful to recognize that you don't have trust in someone. You give trust to them. And then they used the trust you've given as their bank of points. 2 more considerations. One is that you can use trust for 3 purposes. One is very straightforward. It permits you to use the powerful mechanic of aiding that person. Two, it permits you to get a bonus when you act against that person. So you can, by giving someone trust, you are permitting them to aid you wonderfully, and you are also permitting them to betray you horribly. And then second, third thing you can do with spending a point of trust is to take over narration of a conflict that involves that person. And as we all know, narration authority is a unique property that's different from outcome authority, which is determined, in this case, by the dice, and can be a very significant part of play. So that's what you can do with it. The last concept is how trust changes. Now, I'm not talking about the points. Those are spent through the course of a chapter, and they don't refresh until the chapter is over. But at the end of a chapter, you review your sheet, and you can either increase the trust you give by one per, you check for each character, or you can leave it where it is, or you can drop it by any amount up to and including dropping to 0. And so those will set the values for the next chapter. So that's when trust refreshes, but it refreshes to its new value if it's changed. So if someone drops their trust in you to 0, well, then you're looking at a 0 for the next chapter and no points for that character.